Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Victory to Ram. So my lecture will be in two parts. First, philosophy. There has to be some philosophy. Then we will get into the Leela. If you're ready to proceed, please say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, there are some nice verses about this name, Rama. Everybody say.
Rama.
So, Ramante yogino nante satyanande chid atmani iti Rama padena sao parang brahma abhidiyate. Please repeat. The supreme absolute truth is called Rama. Because the transcendentalists take pleasure in the unlimited true pleasure of spiritual existence. So here's one understanding of this name Rama. Unlimited true pleasure. Who doesn't like that word? Now we have this other verse. This is taken from it is found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Mano Rame Sarhasya Nama Bistulyang Rama Nama Varanane. Now this verse is spoken to us by Lord Shiva. And he is addressing his wife Durga. Last Sunday I was in a different temple and I spoke about Durga Mata. So here 1 week later, please repeat. O Varanana. So that word means lovely faced woman. So Durga Mata is lovely faced. But for the demons, not so much. O Varanana, I chant the holy name. Rama, 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 and thus enjoy this beautiful sound. This holy name of Lord Ram is equal to 1,000 holy names of Lord Vishnu. So now you get some idea what we are chanting in this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So we say Rama how many times? 1, 2, 4 times. And each Rama is the same as chanting the Vishnu Sahasranam. So let's do it again. Rama, 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 Rama. Rama. Okay, so that's enough philosophy, okay? Because there's some nice. There are 2 sections from the Ramayana that I would like to narrate to you. I'll try to make it as nice as possible if this behaves. Okay. So this is, the chapter is called The Final Battle. And this scene is called Rama Stuns Ravana. Rama seized his bow. A terrible anger took hold of him. Lakshman had spoken well. The time for the arrogant demon's destruction had now arrived. As Ram looked around, he saw Ravana seated aboard his golden chariot. Having rested, the demon was again rushing at Ram, just as the malefic planet Rahu rushes towards the sun. From where he stood, Lord Ram immediately shot a steady stream of arrows that shone like fire. They rained ray rained down upon the demon, who in turn loosened torrents of shafts that hissed like serpents as they flew at Lord Ram. From the sky, the gods observed the combat. Seeing Ram standing upon the ground, Indra desired to assist him. He summoned Matali, his chariot driver, and asked him to fetch his chariot. And within a moment, Indra's radiant chariot appeared, drawn by its 100 steeds. Indra ordered Matali to take it to Ram, and the chariot driver at once descended onto the battlefield next to our prince, and with folded palms he respectfully addressed Ram. O Raghava, here is my lord Indra's chariot. Here is also his mighty bow and infallible weapons, as well as his invincible golden armor. Please use all of these to attain victory over Ravana, who is the enemy of the gods. I shall act as your chariot driver. Ram gazed with amazement at the wonderful vehicle. It was bedecked with glowing gems and wreaths of celestial flowers. A tall pole of cat's eye stood in its center, bearing a brilliant golden flag standard. The chariot was suspended a bow length above the ground, and a crystal staircase came down to Rama's feet. He circumambulated the chariot and then climbed aboard. Prince Ram quickly donned Indra's armor and took up his bow and celestial arrows. As he stood upon that divine chariot, he looked just like the sun illuminating all quarters. At Matali's command, the heavenly steeds surged forward, and the chariot moved off with a rumbling sound filling the earth and sky. Ravana, realizing that Ram was being assisted by his mortal enemy Indra, became even more enraged. He fired a celestial missile which unleashed hundreds of thousands of dreadful-looking serpents with their wide open mouths vomiting fire. Writhing and hissing, they came from all sides, speeding towards Ram. I wish this was a 3D movie. It would be wonderful. Anybody in Hollywood listening? Here is your next 3D blockbuster. As the venomous snakes descended upon him, Ram at once invoked a weapon presided over by Garuda. A shower of arrows shot from his bow, turning as they flew into golden eagles with fierce talons and sharply curved beaks. The mystical eagles intercepted and destroyed all of Ravana's serpents. The demon roared furiously. He struck Matali and all of his steeds with the forcible torrents of shafts and with golden steel heads. The Rakshasa then sent a crescent-headed arrow which tore down the chariot's golden flag standard. Ravana followed this with countless other straight-flying arrows that struck Ram on every part of his body. Within seconds, Indra's great chariot was completely covered by Ravana's arrows, so that no part of it was visible. With his 10 heads and massive bow, Ravana stood in his own chariot, looking like the Mainaka mountain arisen from the ocean. Observing the demon overwhelming Ram with his arrows, gods and rishis felt despondent. The monkeys became fearful and observed grim-looking omens. The sun became dim and the sea tossed with waves that seemed to rise up to the sky. Jackals howled, ghosts and spooks darted about on the battlefield. So intense was Ravana's assault that Ram was unable to lift his bow and fit his arrows. Ram's eyes turned crimson with rage. He began to think of the destruction of the entire Rakshasa race. With great expertise, Matali drove the chariot upwards and away from the hail of Ravana's arrows. It burst forth like the sun emerging from a cloud. The gods showered blessings upon Ram, while Daityas and Danavas uttered benedictions upon Ravana. And when the king of the Rakshasas saw his adversary Ram again stationed before him, Ravana took up a fearful-looking dart. The terrific weapon had spikes resembling mountain peaks. It had a flaming point glowing with a brilliance that could not be looked upon. That dart was most dear to Ravana and had been carefully kept and worshipped by him, reserving it for a time when he faced such a deadly enemy. It was irresistible to gods and demons alike. Ravana raised it with his serpent-like arm and roared with full force. The earth shook and mountains trembled, sending their lions and elephants fleeing in fear. Looking at Ram, the Rakshasa thundered. So now I have to get into the character of Ravana. This dart, powerful like a thunderbolt, will now take your life. Hurled by me, it will strike both you and your brother, leveling you with all the Rakshasas you have slain. Guard yourself now if you can. The demon at once threw the dart. It flashed through the air, covered by a circle of lightning and emitting a deafening scream. Ram instantly sent 100 arrows at the dart, but they were deflected and fell useless to the ground. But without losing a moment, Ram took up Indra's celestial javelin, forcefully hurling it, and it flew like a blazing meteor straight at the dart. Struck by the divine lance, Ravana's weapon was split apart and dropped to the earth. Rama ki jai. The javelin, giving off a delightful sound from the many bells tied around it, again returned to Indra's chariot. Ram immediately followed that astonishing feat by sending a fierce volley of arrows at the demon. They struck Ravana in all of his limbs and pierced his 10 heads. The demon blazed with anger and replied with an equal number of his own arrows. But Ram intercepted Ravana's arrows while simultaneously continuing to strike him. The Rakshasa then released an even greater number of shafts, which penetrated Ram's defense and pierced through his armor. With blood shining on his breast, Ram looked like a great Kinshuka tree in full blossom. Neither opponent could easily see the other, so great was the number of arrows filling the air. Ram pulled clear of Ravana's attack and laughed heartily, rebuking the demon. So now I'm Ram in this one-man drama. O Rakshasa, you are proud of your strength, but it will not save you now. Indeed, since you stole away my consort while I was not present, you cannot be considered heroic. You are a shameless coward, given over to vanity alone, vaunting yourself as a hero. Had you tried to take Sita from my presence, you would not be alive today. By good fortune, I now see Time himself on this very battlefield. Prepare to receive the results of your despicable and evil acts, O vile one. Carnivorous birds and beasts will soon feast upon your flesh and blood. What do you think of Ram's talking, huh? Lord Ramachandra ki! With redoubled strength, Ram sent wave upon wave of arrows straight at Ravana. The prince felt increased enthusiasm for the fight. He invoked all the celestial missiles, and they immediately appeared before him on the battlefield. In great joy, Ram fired the weapons at the demon one after another. He recited incantations with full concentration, releasing his arrows. Charged with mystic power of divine astras, the arrows tore into Ravana and sent him reeling. As Ravana staggered about on his chariot, he was showered with rocks and trees by the monkeys. The demon was reduced to a sorry plight, being unable to lift his bow or do anything in his defense. He sank down on the floor of his chariot, and seeing this, his chariot driver veered away from the fight and retreated. Ravana remained stunned for some time. Gradually returning to his senses, he saw that his chariot driver had taken him away from the battlefield. He immediately chastised the chariot driver with harsh words. How have you scorned me in this way, O evil-minded one? Obviously considering me to be bereft of power, heroism, and prowess, you have covered me with shame. Today you have nullified my valor, dignity, and fame. While my enemy stood expectantly before me, deserving to be gratified by my arrows, you have turned me into a coward. Ravana was beside himself with fury. He accused the chariot driver of siding with the enemy and ordered him to return immediately to Ram's presence. The chariot driver replied that he had done this only what he felt was his proper duty. Ravana had been completely overpowered by Ram's weapons. Out of affection, he had desired to save his master's life. Reciting verses from scripture supporting his actions, the chariot driver begged Ravana's forgiveness. The demon king was appeased. He nodded at his chariot driver and commanded him to return with all speed to the fight. Urged on by Ravana, the chariot driver lashed the horses, and within a few moments, the chariot stood again before Lord Ram. Time for intermission commercial, and then we'll go to the finale. Everybody repeat the Maha Mantra. You like it so far? Shall we continue? Or do you want a lecture on the Upanishads? Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. Let's do just a little kirtan to get fired up. Hey Ram, Hey Ram. Hey Ram, Hey Ram. Hey Ram, Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hey Ram, hey Ram. Hey Ram, hey Ram. Scene 3. Ram pierces Ravana's heart. All right, let's get into it. On the battlefield, Ram was himself expressing exhaustion from the fight. In the heavens, the great Rishi Agastya saw this and desired to assist Ram. Agastya had been observing the battle from the sky along with the other gods. Agastya now descended to Ram's chariot and spoke to him. O mighty armed Ram, please listen as I tell you the secret of a highly confidential prayer known as Aditya Hridaya. This prayer will invoke the powerful spiritual energy from the heart of the sun. This is the very effulgence of the Supreme Lord Vishnu himself. And with this power, you can overcome any obstacle and destroy to its roots all of one's enemies. Philosophy. So, Agastya here is pointing out the power of spiritual energy. So when we chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what is it?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
It is called the Maha Mantra. It is the greatest mantra of them all, because it has 8 times the word Hare, which is the internal pleasure potency Srimati Radharani, who is the original Durga. Yes, she is Adi Durga, Radha Thakurani. And then it has 4 names of Krishna. Everybody say,
Krishna.
All attractive. And then 4 times Rama. And as we learned today, it is the reservoir of pleasure. So, I didn't mention it, but now I will. We heard from Lord Shiva that the name Ram is equal to 1,000 names of Vishnu. But in the Mahabharata, there is this statement that if you say the name Ram 3 times, you get the same benefit by uttering once Krishna. Now you get some idea why it's called Maha Mantra, or like what I like to say to some audiences, the mantra on steroids. All right, let's get back to the fight. Agastya instructed Ram how to recite the prayer, which would summon the combined power of all the gods emanating from the bodily rays of Vishnu himself. With that power, Ram would be able to quickly overcome Ravana before nightfall, when the demon's own power would be doubled. So, time is ticking. It's like in sporting events. The final 2 minutes of the game is crucial. So the time is coming. The Rishi returned to the heavens, and Ram turned toward the sun. After sipping water for purification, He recited the Aditya Hridaya. At once Ram felt extreme happiness, and his mind became highly enlivened. All his fatigue vanished, and he took up his bow. He stood firmly on Indra's chariot, fixing his gaze upon Ravana, who had again reappeared before him. He urged Matali forward toward the demon. In the heavens, the sun god stood in person amid the other gods and uttered benedictions upon Ram. Let's do it together. May victory attend you. May victory attend you.
May victory attend you.
May victory attend you.
May victory attend you.
Jai, I'm getting fired up here. Ram saw Ravana's chariot flying towards him, filling all quarters with its thunderous rumbling. The chariot was drawn by huge black horses with the heads of hideous fiends. It shone with a dreadful luster and was adorned all over with brilliant rubies, celestial sapphires, and rows of pennants flying from its sides. Moving rapidly through space, it looked like a cloud containing streams of shining water and issuing forth torrents in the form of arrows. Then Ram said to Matali, "From the way in which he is darting back into the fray, it appears that this Rakshasa is bent upon his own destruction. So close upon him with care. I shall destroy his chariot, even as the wind would blow away a cloud." So do you think Ram is confident? What do you think? Yes. Grasping Indra's bow, Ram tempered his anger with patience as he awaited his opportunity to attack the demon who was maneuvering on the battlefield. Matali skillfully drove the chariot in circles and gradually closed in on Ravana, and the two opponents released streams of arrows, appearing like two proud lions intent on killing each other. Suddenly, many frightful omens appeared. Blood rained down on Ravana's chariot, while violent whirlwinds tossed it about. A flock of vultures circled over the demon. In the distance, Lanka was shrouded in a reddish glow. Great meteors fell from the sky, and the earth shook. The sky became darkened, even while the sun was still shining. Terrible thunderbolts and flashes of lightning fell upon the Rakshasa army. Ravana's horses shed hot tears and emitted sparks from their mouths. Doesn't look good for Ravana. What do you think? It's not looking good. Around Lord Ram were seen many favorable signs portending his imminent victory. The sun illuminated him brilliantly, and a gentle breeze blew behind him. Ram felt his right eye and arm throb, and his mind felt joyful. So that's considered auspicious. As Ram and Ravana met in fearful combat, the two armies stood motionless with their weapons held fast in their hands. Observing the human, Ram, that's not that he is, but in the drama, he's playing the part of a human, and the demon enraged in a desperate duel, all the warriors along with the gods, Gandharvas, and Rishis watched in wonderment. The two belligerent opponents each exhibited their full prowess on the battlefield as they hurled blazing weapons at each other. Ram fitted a highly sharpened shaft to his bow, irresistible like a thunderbolt, shining with splendor. Drawing back his bow to full circle, he released the arrow at Ravana's flag standard. It severed the tall pole, and the demon's ensign fluttered to the ground. Ravana burned with indignation. He sent a hail of flaming steel arrows at Ram's horses. Struck by the arrows, the celestial horses neither flinched nor shook, but continued to draw the great chariot, describing various circles and movements, and baffling Ravana's arrows. The demon fired a tremendous shower of maces, iron clubs, discs, and mallets, as well as mountain peaks, trees, pikes, and double-headed axes. At the same time, Ravana released tremendous volleys of arrows which fell towards Ram's chariot like streaks of golden lightning. By Matala's expert handling, Indra's chariot constantly foiled Ravana's weapons. The Rakshasa became more and more infuriated, and he directed his mystic missiles upon the army of monkeys. Seeing this, Ram fitted celestial weapons to his bow, which sent innumerable arrows into the sky. Those arrows fell upon Ravana's weapons, smashing them to pieces. No arrow shot by Ram failed to find its mark. The sky was completely filled with Ram's golden-plumed shafts. The missiles of the two fighters met together in hundreds and thousands. They created explosions of fires and billows of smoke across the battlefield. For hours without interruption, Ram and Ravana fought vehemently, exchanging blow for blow. Neither felt weary nor inclined to give an inch to the other. Those observing the fight felt their hair standing on end. No one could take their eyes off the furious fighters as they battled on, each relentlessly seeking victory. Ravana sent 20, then 60, then 100, then 1,000 arrows at Ram, aiming at Ram's vital parts or seeking to kill the chariot driver and his horses. But Ram responded with twice that number, digging shafts into Ravana's horses and chariot driver, while at the same time constantly covering the demon. Even after fighting for half a day, neither seemed to have the upper hand. Ravana then composed himself and once again invoked the Rakshasa Astra, imbuing it with all his mystic potency. Immediately the air was filled with a thick shower of every kind of weapon. The entire globe seemed to shake, and the ocean became agitated. Serpents and devils appeared screaming from the sky, emitting fire from their mouths. The sun lost its brilliance, and the wind ceased to blow. In the heavens, the gods themselves became fearful and cried out, let's do it, "May all be well with the worlds."
May all be well with the world.
But with full concentration, Ram again invoked his Gandharva Astra, which caused hundreds of thousands of arrows to appear, countering all of Ravana's weapons. Those awful and demoniac missiles fell to the ground, being burned up and being pierced by Ram's fiery shafts. The battle between Ram and Ravana could only be compared to itself. Such a fight had never been seen at any time, even by the gods. They watched anxiously as Ram came under repeated ferocious attacks from the Lord of the Rakshasas. But Ram remained calm. He took from his quiver a great razor-headed arrow resembling a venomous snake. Within an instant, he fitted and fired the arrow at Ravana. That arrow, imbued with mystic power, divided into 10 and tore off the demon's head. Because he had how many heads? 10. Okay, but look. But then they immediately grew up again. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Ram sent another weapon, which again severed the 10 heads, and again they grew back. Ram struck down 100 heads, but the demon remained standing without slowing his attack for even a moment. And Ram contemplated this wonderful phenomenon. How was this demon to be killed? No weapon seemed to be able to take Ravana's life. It looked like the fight might go on forever. Vibhishan. Who's Vibhishan? He's Ravana's brother, but he defected. He joined Ram's side. He chastised his brother. He told him, "You're a nonsense fool, and you're going to lose everything." So Vibhishan quickly approached Ram. He told Ram that Ravana had gotten a boon from Lord Brahma. Brahma always appears in these things. He received a boon from Brahma that his heads and arms could never be destroyed. But in Ravana's heart was a store of celestial nectar which renewed the life in his body. Who would like to have that, huh? Better than any doctor or healthcare program. Boy, if somebody could get that. A store of celestial nectar which renewed the life in his body. So the only way to kill Ravana was to strike at his heart with a divine weapon that could dry up the nectar. I think Vibhishan deserves an applause. As Ram considered his next move, all the while raining arrows down upon Ravana, Matali turned to Ram and spoke, "O Ram, the time for this demon's death has now come. Recall now the prayer Agastya told you. Agastya also gave you an arrow when you..." I'm getting verklempt. I need some. Let's go back. "O Ram, the time for this one's death has come. Recall now the prayer Agastya told you. Agastya also gave you an arrow when you were in the forest. Imbue that arrow with the force of the Brahma Astra and kill this demon, piercing his heart." Accepting Matali's advice, Ram remembered the celestial arrow which Agastya had given him long ago in the forest. At once it appeared in his hand, and he fitted it to his bow. Its shaft was made of ether, and its weight consisted of the Mandara and Meru mountains. The wind god presided over this shaft, the fire god presided over its plumes, and the sun god was installed at its point. It looked like the rod of universal destruction wielded by the time spirit himself. Ram once again chanted the Aditya Hridaya prayer and then invoked the infallible Brahma Astra. As Ram drew back the arrow, he shone so brilliantly no one could look at him. He released the weapon, and it flew at Ravana, lighting up the earth and sky, roaring like a tumultuous ocean. It struck the demon on his chest, even as Ravana stood firing his own weapons at Ram. Piercing right through his heart, the arrow emerged from Ravana's body, soaked in blood, and entered the earth. Ravana whirled around and let out a cry which seemed to shake the entire creation. Ravana's bow dropped from his hands, and he fell from his chariot like a mountain struck down by Indra's thunderbolt. Victory to Ram! Victory to Ram! Victory to Ram! Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hey Ram, Hey Ram. So, did you enjoy? Thank you. So, in this whole narration of the Ramayana, there are so many morals and lessons and so many things we learn by studying the Ramayana. So I have a few minutes. So one thing that Prabhupada emphasizes, that Sita, she is the goddess of fortune, and Ram, being so powerful, actually he's omnipotent, Ram could have said like this, oh, Ravana stole one Sita, I can make 1,000,000 more, no problem. But Ram was the incarnation or appearance of Ram was to teach people how to be the ideal human. He wasn't human, he's God. Otherwise, why are we chanting his name? But he appeared in the disguise of a prince, but by his character and activities, he showed how to be the ideal. And after this, there is the great Diwali festival. Ram, Sita, they return to Ayodhya. They're greeted with so many lamps, and there's a big festival. And Ram finally is king, as he should have been. And he was the perfect king, Ram Raja. If only we had a perfect king like Ram right now. Oh my God. If only we had. But unfortunately, nowadays we get Rakshasas. Yes. So, chant Hare Krishna. Everybody chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Prabhupada explains that Ram was teaching us that, and also Ram took a vow, Eka Patni Vrat, that he decided, no, only one wife. As a king in Vedic culture, he would be allowed to have many queens, as his father did. And being the supreme personality of Godhead, like Krishna, right? Krishna only had 16,108 wives, that's all. So Ram could have had, but he decided, no, I'm going to teach one wife, and that wife must be protected at all costs. That's why Ram went through all this difficulty, to teach us, you accept a wife, you have to give full protection, no reservations. Whatever it takes to protect the wife, it must be done. Ram also taught how one should respect the parents. In Vedic culture, this is a very topmost principle. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Gita, in the 17th chapter, it says, one should offer respects to superiors, and Prabhupada puts there, like the father and mother, just to emphasize the point. So, when Ram was banished to the forest, his brother Bharat, at one point, as the exile began, Ram was already there. Bharat and so many people of Ayodhya went and searched out Ram. And Bharat said, my brother, I will take your post. Everybody wants you to be the king, and you should be. So I'll take your place. But Ram said, no. It is my duty to my father to keep his word intact. So that's another thing Ram taught us. And Prabhupada points out that in the fight, because we only read the final scene, but there are chapters upon chapters about the previous fighting. So Ravana and the Rakshasas, they had so many sophisticated missiles and weapons. But what was Ram's army? Monkeys. That was his army. And what were they doing? Rocks, trees, mountain peaks. But because Ram was there, and because all the monkeys were actually expansions of the demigods, these are not ordinary monkeys that you see in the zoo or when you go to India. So many monkeys, right? In Delhi and, right? They're all over. So these were not ordinary monkeys. They were all expansions of demigods. But they had supernatural power, especially Hanumanji. You cannot talk about Sita and Ram without mentioning Hanumanji. So, and let me just say one thing about Hanuman. That after everything was concluded, Vibhishan, remember Vibhishan? He was installed as the king of Lanka, as he should have been. That was proper. And Ram also had Vibhishan do the funeral ceremony for Ravana. Just see how noble is Ram. That he saw to it, yes, now that he's dead, okay, everything's forgiven. Vibhishan, you should do the funeral rites so that he doesn't go to hell. Yes, see how nice Ram is. So after everything, Ram went to Hanuman and said, you fought for me so valiantly. You did so much for me. You single-handedly found Sita in the grove. You destroyed Lanka when they set your tail on fire, but you escaped and you dashed about and danced and burned Lanka. You have done so much for me, I want to give you a benediction. But what did Hanumanji say? Because in many places you'll see that Hanuman is called Bhaktaraj. Everybody say, the king of the devotees. He is the example of devotee. He's even mentioned in the 9 items of devotional service. So he is mentioned as the representative of Dasya. service. So Hanuman said, "My Lord, I don't want any benediction from you. You are my master. I am your servant. I don't want liberation or no. I simply always want to be with you and always, always remember you." So he was given that benediction. Hanuman to this day is simply remembering and meditating and relishing his association with Lord Ram. I could go on for hours, but time is up. So, if you are so kind, if anybody would like to give a donation so that I can continue coming, any donation, 1 million, 10 million, whatever you can give, will be greatly appreciated. And if you give a donation or you don't give a donation, I have all these CDs of different lectures I've been given over the years. Each one is different. So feel free to take these CD lectures, whether you give or don't give. But you should give. Whatever you can. It helps with the costs. After all, I have all this equipment that doesn't grow on trees. So let's chant for 1 minute. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If I've said it once, I'll say it again and again. I love coming to this temple because you are so nice. Would you like a benediction? Yes. I bless you, that may Krishna bless you, protect you, maintain you, and may all the Ravanas in your life be destroyed. All glories, victory to Ram.